The panel recommended compensations to be paid to victims totaling 190 million. And the amount of judgment sums which were recommended to be enforced was 98 million. I have accepted that we will pay compensation to all of those who were victims. And we will not wait for anybody, not the federal government. We will do it. The panel also recommended the following. In the case of the police, that there should be regular promotions in the police when it is due. That the police authorities should enforce the welfare package, which will include working materials, uniform, boots, and batons. That there should be training and retraining of our police officers. That there should be an upward review of police salary. That government should recommend yearly mental evaluation on every police officer to determine their mental state of mind. That the police should be civil in dealing with the public. That arbitrary use of arms by erring police officers must be discouraged and sanctioned. That police officers should undergo quarterly tests for the use of hard drugs, including Indian hemp, cocaine, etc. And that the crude manner with which the police elicits information from suspects should be discouraged and, if possible, sanctioned. These were the recommendations as regards to the police. You know that when it comes to police matters within the federal domain, but as a state, what we have done is to invest a lot of money in the police training facility in Ugida. If you go there now, you'll see the amount of work that has been done. The conference rooms, the classrooms, hostels, the obstacles, we have all funded from the state budget so that we can now begin to train and retrain our policemen. We haven't waited for the federal authorities. The Inspector General was kind enough to allow the state to intervene. And so that facility will also be used to train our vigilantes, because we will not allow anybody be on our streets with arms, engaging with citizens without being properly. As for the youths, the panel recommended the following. Encouraging entrepreneurship among youths in the areas of agriculture, energy, solar-related activities like installation of solar panels, ICT, etc. Number 2, youth empowerment by way of interest-free or soft loans to encourage investments in and entrepreneurship. 3, encourage and enlighten youths to see the value of education, particularly the girl child education. 4, provide for annual state-sponsored scholarships to our youths to facilitate education. Encourage, mobilize, cooperate with parastatals, cooperate with telecoms companies, all companies, to provide annual scholarship for youths to encourage more education for our youths. Government to build more recreation centers for youths. The government to encourage youths in active participation in sports. To increase the percentage of youth employment in ministries, departments, and agencies. Awareness campaign via the Ministry of Youth to educate and re-educate youth against involvement in social vices and youth restiveness. Government should and must show capacity in handling the menace of cultism currently ravaging society and destroying social norms and values. Government should enhance skill acquisition and capacity building centers and programs. Should ensure recruitment of local youths as ad hoc staff in state construction and projects. Ensure football academies for sports competition amongst youths to include police football clubs in the state. government to ensure that security across the state is improved, to enable, so that it will create an enabling environment for SMEs and other businesses, especially during off hours. This should be in form of expanding and empowering local vigilante. Government should organize town hall meetings between community leaders and youths. So those were the 15 recommendations. We, as a government, continue to be very youth-centric. We continue to emphasize what affects the youths in our society, because we know that our greatest resource, as I said, are the young people in Edo State. And young people constitute almost 70% of our population. So we are focusing the bulk of our resources in addressing issues that pertain to youths. In the area of entrepreneurship, Edo Jobs or Edo Skill Agency has done so much. We continue to increase our database of opportunities for young people. But the challenge we're having is that as Edo Job expands its opportunities, we now find out that many of the people who are now taking advantage of the opportunity are not living in Edo. We're not getting, we're seeing more of the opportunities being taken by people from outside. So we put up an advert on our website. We begin to call their numbers, and we say, yeah, please, can you come for an interview tomorrow? Oh, I'm in Lagos, I'm in Port Harcourt. But this opportunity is for people who reside here. That is beginning to be part of the problems we're having. So part of the conversations is, how do we get the message that government is not a scam, that these opportunities really exist? There's one of these plantation, agri companies wanted harvesters, people to come and harvest, and they were prepared to pay almost 100,000 naira a month. But you won't get young people from Edo State. They have to go to Akwa Ibom and places like that to bring people to come and work here in Edo. And I can go on and on and on to count opportunities. A lot of the young people, well, not a lot, some of the young people will say, unfortunately, still want to travel. They're not ready to, do the kind of, they're not ready to do jobs they consider menial, not really, forgetting that people have to start from the bottom upwards. We continue to emphasize youth empowerment. We set up a team, Data to Mega. They've gone around the state collecting data. So we have sufficient data on the small businesses. In Oredo, for instance, I can tell you that about 16,100 small businesses we have enumerated, including women who are selling akara, or young people who are, operating small businesses. We have their data, we have their phones. So we're currently calling them as I speak, because in partnership with the Bank of Industry, we'll be able to get the first 2 billion to give people as loans, very low interest loans, to support and enhance their businesses. Under Edo Jobs, we're also emphasizing apprenticeship, because if you have not learned the job, how can you do your own? If you have not worked under somebody, how can you do your own? You just can't say, I will go and set up. Yes, they will not pay you well as an apprentice, but at least you have the opportunity to learn a trade. So we're also encouraging the people we're giving money to, with people that are supporting, to also look for young people and train them as to work, to hire them so that they can be apprentices under them. The Commissioner for Education has been appointed. You know her. She did quite a lot to transform our basic education system, Edo Best. The world continues to applaud what we have done with basic education. We're now extending that. We have now handed over GSS 1 to 3 back to SUBEM, because basic education is from primary 1 to GSS 3. So what we have done with the primary 1 to 6 pupils, we're doing the same with JSS. We're also emphasizing that more practical training at the JSS level, because not everybody may continue beyond basic education. But our goal is that by the time you are 15 years in Edo, You must have a skill and interest. And we want to encourage people to go in at that stage, even if it is barbing, it is cooking, whatever it is, have handwork. That should not stop you from furthering your education. We're working out a scholarship scheme and a student loan arrangement, a low-interest student loan arrangement, so that more people can have access to cheap money to go to school. In the area yesterday, some of you may have seen in the news, we have finished rebuilding a school of nursing and gotten accreditation because our emphasis is on human capacity. If you go to Goreke, we're building the first campus of the School of Agriculture. It's by December, it should be ready for us to start. We're doing the same, we're going to be doing the same in Uromi and Agenabode, I don't know. The College of Education, we've completed the campus in Abudu. We're investing in Igwebe, and also we're rebuilding the one in Afuse. This is all to make sure that we train a whole generation of teachers who can impact real practical education on our young people. We will, as a government, continue to build more recreation centers. You see, we started with a mini stadia, and in the last couple of months, I've been undertaking some acquisitions of land. Some people have criticized it in the media that, oh, I'm taking people's land, but we're compensating them because we just found out that there are no open spaces anymore, you know. So we're acquiring places that are not developed, open spaces, so that we can build recreation centers, sports centers, where people can go and express themselves. Through, you know what we have done with sports. I'm not, the Deputy Governor is here. He was even awarded the Governor, the Sportsman of the Year by the Sun newspapers last week. That says it all. We continue to invest in sports because we want Edo to be the #1 sporting state in Nigeria. We still have concerns and issues with cultism. It's a big problem. We are discussing with some bodies, some peace bodies. I was abroad recently, and I'm talking to some bodies to come and partner with us so that we can begin to address the root causes of cults and cult movements in Edo State. I've talked about skill acquisition. We have started our ICT program. I told you last year that one of the emphasis will be on ICT. In Ohoromi, the first set of first set of participants are graduating under a very intensive ICT program, which we are partnering with Decagon. For 3 million naira, which the state supports, each person is trained, and immediately, before they complete their training, they already have jobs to program and write codes for companies from abroad. The first set just graduated. I think they're taking another set, and we're working with the same company to build a whole center in the Benin Technical College. The plans are ready, and they will break ground this year. I cannot spell everything we're doing for youths, but what you will notice from next month is that we have a very active website that will continue to interact with members of the public, where you can go and see everything that government is doing and the opportunities which government is creating for young people and citizens as a whole. That we should further decentralize skill acquisition centers. Every local government must now, we will now make sure that every local government skill acquisition center is upgraded and enhanced. This is the responsibility I'm going to be working on with the local government councils. They said we should establish large storage facilities for storing perishable goods, such as grains, for subsequent sale to members of the public at a cheaper rate. This will enable government to achieve effective pricing policy. We have we've introduced an independent farmers initiative where we are going around villages, enumerating farmers, giving them seeds, giving them support, giving them fertilizer, and assuring them that we will buy whatever they produce so as to increase food supply in Edo State. That is working. This rainy season has been quite good, and we're quite happy with some of the results we're getting. They said skill acquisition should be made mandatory in every pupil's school curriculum in Edo State. We have started that process with moving JSS and also begin to work on the curriculum for JSS. That there should be more awareness, jingles, electronic print, of the law prohibiting child labor and street hawking, and to curb the social menace and juvenile delinquencies. That we will do. I just left a session with the judges, a training session with the judges on the implementation of the VAP law, the law on violence against persons. As you know, we are very concerned about gender-based violence in Edo State, given the unfortunate circumstances of the brutal murder of Uwaila. So we are training our judges, we are strengthening the systems to make sure that we bring peace to the land and reduce the incidence of violence, particularly against women. The public should be more civil in their relations with the police and other security agencies. We are strengthening our magistracy, the magistrate courts. We're building a lot more magistrate courts. We're enhancing the conditions of our magistrates so that they can have very speedy dispensation of justice. And once people err, they will be arraigned and prosecuted. That the entire citizens should be enjoined to obey rules and regulations set up by the state. That the inability of successful judgment creditors to reap the fruits of their judgment against the police and other security agencies is a concern. Government should come out with a policy that empowers the Central Bank of Nigeria to pay judgment sum directly to judgment creditors where there is an appeal against such a judgment. Here again, we are talking to businesses, small businesses, whatever we can do as a government to ensure that people can enforce their contracts, people can get, they can enforce judgments, particularly against the creditors. We are going to support, and we are actually working on that. The panel also said that we should encourage the police to refer cases to alternative dispute resolution mechanisms and the multi-door courts, so that people don't have to wait a long time to get justice from our court systems. That we're doing. As you can see, we are investing in infrastructure for the judiciary, and also we're working to improve their conditions by building new houses, accommodation for judges. Police and other security agencies must wear their name tags and their uniforms at all times. There should be prompt release of exhibits once investigations have been concluded and upon the order of the court of competent jurisdictions. In conclusion, all security agencies must comply with the provisions of the administration of criminal justice law in Edo State. So, my distinguished ladies and gentlemen, these summaries will be published, will be put on our website for everybody to see. So I've come here this afternoon to say that as a government, we continue to listen to you, because you are the people who put us in power, not anybody else. God used you to bring us to power. And we will continue to be proactive and make sure that we take steps and measures promptly, so that never again in our history should we have the sad incident of the NSAS protests which we witnessed last year. Thank you very much for coming.